I do say this to a lot of people, that behind every successful and progressive daughter, besides having a strong mother, is also a very progressive father.
That's so true.
You know?
I mean, I speak as the daughter of one, and I'm sure you speak as the daughter
Absolutely.
of one. Yeah.
And yes, unfortunately, we both lost our dads.
Yes.
At this time. And bad idea to bring that up.
I know. Always something that makes one cry.
Yeah, and maybe I'm tired also, actually. I'm just tired.
I'm sorry.
2 magazines came out. Filmfare came out with a minute-to-minute account of how I fell ill and how I was hospitalized. Stardust, on the other hand, came out with this huge story of how I was at the shoot. I drank Tic 20 and I tried to kill myself and I tried to commit suicide. That was Stardust headlines.
Wow.
Patna Shuklla is a very, very strong character, is more symbolizing the struggle of a common man as well against the big system. So, and then her being a woman on top of that.
Who's expected to be mostly at home.
Who's expected to be only cutting bhindi, aloo,
Correct.
turi and home and making a bhaji and looking after her husband and her children.
Raveena, your daughter is about 19 years old and has big dreams for herself as she enters or is about to enter this world of entertainment and movies and performing arts. You were even younger than her when you began your journey. What do you think you would want her to know today that you wish somebody had told you then when you were not even 17 and you entered the, I don't want to say the big bad world, but the big exciting world of cinema, the movies and performing arts?
First and foremost, it's the best place to be at. The line that says that showbiz is the best business ever. And I completely second that. Coining that, I would, always say that to my kids, that there is no place like show business. And my dad has been in this line, and I come from a family of, now married into a family who's also been in the show business. So it is something that has given us bread and butter all through these years and given us everything that we have. So being completely grateful to that. But nonetheless, I would tell my child who is coming into this world, into this big bad world period, not of this industry, that industry or some other industry, that do not take people at face value. And that is something.
Did you do that a lot?
Oh, immensely. At every given point, I would believe that, if I'm nice to this person is nice to me. So that's genuinely what it is. But there are a lot of people who will be nice to you on your face and just turn their back around and they're somebody else. So, and a completely different viewpoint of, what they think about you. And that is something which I have been telling my kids all along, that give it that time and don't invest in so much emotionally into everything. Because that cannot turn out the way it is, the way you want it to, and it can change a lot of things for you.
Yeah. But at 16, 17, when you started out, it was a very different world, right? There's certain things today that even if you think you can't say, there is a greater awareness of some do's and don'ts. In your time, and we're the same generation, right? We were sort of early adulthood in the 90s.
True.
Was it a very cruel place to be in, the showbiz world? Or was it, like all other professions with its good and bad?
So the showbiz world is not a cruel world. This is a fallacy which I think, which is kind of, out there. It's something that it has been created just because it's a glamorous world. Nobody wants to read about what the next businessman is doing or what the next controversy is there. No one wants to read about it.
Yeah.
What makes masala is all these beautiful people, so how are we supposed to bring them down, as in the kind of success that they're achieving and the kind of monies they're making and the kind of cars that they're going in. So let's sell off them. And that's exactly what the gossip magazines did in those days. It was their bread and butter. So the more the scandalous the story, the more mirch masala and the more lies that would sell was good for them, was great business for them. And unfortunately, we didn't have social media. I tell people social media is a boon and a bane.
Yeah.
And a boon in the sense that today you can, whatever story there is about you, whatever rubbish is being written about you, you have a voice. You can put it out there on the media platform for your fans to know on a one-on-one basis as to what really happened and what's the story, with proof, with papers, with photographs, with whatever. In those days, that is not the luxury we had. We were completely in the hands of the editors. So whatever you fought with or whatever you voiced and whatever you said, no, it was not me. No, this is not what happened. But it would be at the mercy of editors, because even if there was a clarification that they wanted to give, it would be the bottommost line down
print
there
that
in
nobody
that
could
really
read.
small, tiny, fine print which nobody could read. And so, but we did. We wrote that, this was the wrong information that we got.
What was the cruelest
So
thing?
the headlines had already gone out, right? The headlines are already out.
Yeah. What was the cruelest thing that you experienced?
Lot of things.
Like?
Lot of things. Personally, about behavior, about body shaming, about
Did they body shame you?
of course.
In what way?
In many ways. I don't know what all I was. A lot of women who were called things. Their favorite names used to be, not only for me, I'm giving you the general pet names. Miss High and Mighty, Miss Arrogance, Miss Thunder Thighs, Miss Amazonian. These are the things that they used to call you with. With her
In print.
Amazonian frame.
In print.
In print. And yes, that little incident, like I told you, which is too obscene for me to even repeat. And really vulgar things.
Yeah.
And not realizing that you also probably came from a family which is decent, with you probably well brought up. Nothing. They almost dehumanized you. You see, when you start dehumanizing a person, you can write any crap about them.
Correct.
And that is where they kind of, it was something that I think a lot of us went through. A lot of sense. I've always been the very sensitive, emotional.
Would you cry? Would you get angry?
Oh yeah. There are many nights that the headlines used to come out, and people who used to meet me and knew me personally would say, "You're not at all what they write about."
But did it affect your self-image?
It did. You used to get so conscious. So you used to be really, like in shock with what they'd be writing. Okay, there's probably one incident that I can bring about. I was shooting in Delhi for a film called Bade Miyan Chote Miyan.
Of course, yeah.
I went back to Mumbai. I was shooting in Film City for a film with Nana Patekar called Ghulam-e-Mustafa. And I woke up that morning with a blasting headache. And about 101 fever. Now, fever is something we don't, if we have a shoot day, you completely push it aside.
Yeah, correct.
You pop a crocine or whatever and you're at work.
Yeah.
So my dad gave me a crocine. I had the crocine. I took a head thing and I took a paracetamol and I went for my shoot.
Yeah.
It just started getting worse through the day. Miss Meena Iyer, who was at that time with Filmfare magazine, editor, then she was editor Bombay Times and etc. One of her very senior, respected journalists. She was with me through the day. She was covering me for Filmfare like a day, in
the life of a star.
Right,
yeah.
And so she was with me since the morning started. I was doing my makeup and I was like, really? She's like, God, how you guys shoot under all these circumstances? I said, yeah, and everyone only sees the glamour. And my headache started becoming so pounding. Eventually, just before lunch break, I was getting down from the vanity van, and the road became like a concave thing, It was like almost, I was like afraid to step, and someone held me, and I started going all blurry, And I went and told them at lunch break that, listen,
I can't
this
do
is
this.
not normal
Yeah.
because my eyes are not being able to focus and my headache is so bad. So I'm seeing the road like this, the Film City road. And they said, you go home. So I said, yeah, I can go home. I'll call the doctor. I called Dr. Agarwal. And Meena Iyer was with me. Meena said, chal, I'll come with you. So Dr. Agarwal asked me on the phone, what are the symptoms you're feeling? I said, my back is, he's saying, is your back stiffening? Is your neck stiffening? I said, yes, it is. And how's your fever? It reached about 102. He said, you go now straight to Nanavati Hospital. I said, okay. He said, I'm reaching there. So Meena came with me. My parents came to Nanavati Hospital. They did my lumbar puncture. which they removed the spinal fluid.
Yeah.
They did that. They sent that for testing. They started me on some drip. And I had meningitis. That's brain fever.
Yeah.
And that is what the result came. And I was on mannitol and on a lot of those other medication. And that month, 2 magazines came out. Filmfare came out with a minute-to-minute account of how I fell ill and how I was hospitalized. Stardust, on the other hand, came out with this huge story of how I was at the shoot. I drank Tic 20 and I tried to kill myself and I tried to commit suicide. That was Stardust headlines.
Wow.
So this is the kind of rubbish that we have dealt with.
And how did you
understand?
react? Did you rebut? Did you?
Hello, I'm not the kind to commit suicide. I'll take
Obviously,
10 down with
how how did you react to this story? Is what I meant.
I'll take 10 down if I'm going down. Dude, put me on the border. Trust me.
Good for you.
So it was unbelievable. In fact, I remember Dr. Agarwal, Dr. Ramesh Agarwal. He came. He saw someone had got me that magazine to read in the hospital room. I was reading that. He picked those up and he threw them out. He said, "Nikalo in loko bahar. I don't want to read this rubbish. Already you're battling with, because it's bad. Brain fever is really bad."
Yeah.
He's saying, "You don't need to read all this. Who got this magazine?" He just blew. He said, "Ask them to talk to me. I'll show them reports."
And they hadn't done the basic 101 of journalism to ask you for your response before publishing.
No. It was a source story. And no reports, no hospital reports, no proof, nothing. I have all my medical records. Agarwal was sitting with me every day. Meena Iyer was with me. One magazine comes out with a blow-to-blow account how I was hospitalized for meningitis, and cut to the next magazine comes out with,
Did they ever retract? What is the impact that this kind of body shaming, falsehood?
Because when I came back to shoot after my being 20 days in hospital, I came back on the sets. I was doing a song, and all the girls were so concerned, the junior artist girls and all the dancer girls, and they came to me and said, "क्यों आपने ऐसे किया? तो क्या हुआ? ऐसे होता है लाइफ में, आपने ऐसे क्यों?" मैं कहा, भाई मैं बीमार थी, मेरे को मच्छर ने काटा और मेरे को ब्रेन फीवर हुआ. I said, नहीं ऐसा कुछ हुआ. I did not. I'm not the kind. So people used to form that impression of you at that time.
Crazy.
Yeah. So there are things that do happen like this.
Now, how is it today? And I ask this in a context when you have a movie coming, Patna Shuklla, and it profiles the story of a woman who manages a home. She's a homemaker also, and she wears a second hat as a lawyer. And the trailer is quite interesting because the trailer has a man telling you that your expertise is in the kitchen. Bhai, aap लौकी, टिंडा, तोरी, ये आपका स्पेशलिटी है, आप ये कानून छोड़िए. And you're essaying the role of Patna Shuklla. Now, when I'm watching this trailer and I'm watching, before I come to the movie, and I'm watching this man say this to your character, I'm thinking this is what women across professions actually go through. They have to manage their home and they have to manage their careers. And so many times women, and I have known these women, I have worked with these women, can't manage both, and they have to give up. Usually they give up their work for a time. So before I come to Patna Shuklla, this trailer made me think, did you feel bad that there were years that you had to walk away? You're back now. But did you feel bitter, hurt, that it had to be you who had to sit out some great years?
So, to be very honest, it has been a journey where a lot of changes have happened, not within me, but even with the perspective of our audiences, with the changes and the evolution that has happened with even OTT platforms coming in. So for me, everything, honestly, the timing was just right.
Yeah.
When I took a break for my kids, I actually was not actually taking a break. I was still doing reality shows. I was still doing judging. I did Chak De Bacche. I did Chak De Shehdi Ladkiyan. I did Nach Baliye. I was doing all these reality shows. I was doing ads. But in fact, a film was offered to me at that time with the protagonist being pregnant when I was pregnant with my son.
Yeah.
And I turned it down is because for the reason that I had worked for that many years and very, very hard. I think I was one of those few artists, besides another couple of them, who probably used to do 6 shifts, and it's 6 different shifts in a day for different movies, for different producers in a day. So it was something that I had kind of overworked myself. And because I had overworked, there was also that time that besides the overwork, that I wanted to sit back and take it easy. And I wanted to have my gulab jamun when I felt like. I wanted to have that piece of pastry, and I had become like a cow. I let myself become. I said, I am going to enjoy my pregnancies. And I want to be there for that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 basic years of my children, because I wanted to enjoy that. I'm actually quite a born mother. I need something to, nurture. So if it's not my children, now they're grown up. Now it's that army of cats and dogs that I have at home, or if it's a lost puppy, or if it's a lost stray, or if it's a lost parrot, or it's something. So so it's, my husband calls my house a mini zoo, by the way. So it's that thing in me, and I it was my free will that I did that. So at that time, there was no that sacrifice kind of a thing. I wanted to be there when my son lost his first tooth. My daughter took her first word. They took their first steps. I enjoyed that time with them, taking them swimming, doing this, doing that.
And there's no way to have both. There's no way. Indra Nooyi said, once famously said, women can't have it all. And my question to her was, why not? Why can't we have it all if we want it?
No, but there are times when you'll be at work and suddenly your son will have said the first word and you'll have to have missed it. So unless you take your children to work, that's the greatest, that's an advantage we have actually in our career. Because our children
can actually take your children to set.
Yes, we can get our babies, and which I did. Yeah. Even those days when I was traveling and shooting for a TV series in Calcutta, my son was with me constantly. Yeah. So it was something that an advantage in our industry that we can. So it's not that you're really missing out on board, but working women who are in offices and all, until and unless they don't have creches or unless they don't have that kind of facilities for women, it will, till that awareness comes, it will be that little, balancing act that we will have to do. But then a lot has changed. Since
but did you regret it? Did you regret having missed some years of your career?
No, I don't.
No,
because I did not want to be camera friendly at that time.
Because it's too much pressure?
It is too much pressure, no? How you're looking. And then, yes, those were the days where they did body shame you. Do you remember how they got after Aishwarya when she didn't lose her weight after the babies? So I didn't want that to happen. That's why I was completely out of the public eye at that time. Because the comments, why isn't she losing weight? Why isn't she... Hello, I want to nurse my children till the longest that I can. So I'm not thinking about going on a diet right now. I don't want to work out.
But it's different for men, right?
Well, now, that is something now, that's how we all made. I think that's the strength that we women have. And that is why God gave us the opportunity to be able to procreate and did not give that to men. So I think you can feel bad for men. Because there were many times when my husband used to say, that, I want to know how it feels, how does it feel that you all are lucky you're getting to carry your children within yourselves. How does it feel? I mean, there's so many times he used to ask me, he used to tease my children, no, you all came out from me, no, you all came out from me, So it is sometimes I feel, how do you know that all men don't miss it?
No, it's a complex, the nurture versus nature debate is a very complex question.
Exactly.
But I also meant that men don't get body shamed in the same way.
No, they don't. But sometimes some of them did, but not because of their pregnancies. But this is where I remember when I had written an open letter to the press during that time. For Ash's time, I stood by her.
I remember that.
Because
but tell our audience that again. Tell us that story.
And and she was body shamed for a very long time. That why she's not losing weight. I said it's her decision, her life, her baby. Yeah. And it's her decision when she wants to get back to work. So let her be. If she's taking this break, let her take this break. And she wants to enjoy, because that's exactly what I did. I wanted to eat everything under the sun as to how disciplined I had been all those years. I'm not living off, popcorn and low-cal snacks and makhana. I just wanted to go crazy, and I did, and I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, and why not?
And why not? We all deserve that break.
But, to come back to Patna Shuklla, the kind of role centered around a female protagonist. OTT platforms have enabled this in a way. Some movies, yes, but I really think that the kind of doors that have opened for women, have come with OTT.
So actually, that's exactly what I meant when I said that, a lot has changed. I think my timing has been pretty perfect.
Because can you imagine in the 90s a movie being made about a female lawyer who's uncovering an education scam, which is what your movie is about? Can you imagine this role in the 90s being written for you?
No. So it's also the audience perception, right?
Yeah.
Our audiences have become more aware of different cultures, different movies, different stories, Today, there's a niche audience for any kind of story that you have to tell.
Yeah.
Which earlier in those days, it probably wasn't. In the early 2000 and, the whole 2000 decade that went by, probably they didn't have that kind of awareness still of world cinema. Today, OTT platforms, today festivals have opened our audiences out to all kinds of cinema and all kinds of movies being made. Earlier, even the box office pressure would be so much that say, kaun aayega ye film dekhne? Until item song nahi hai, action masala nahi hai, hero 10 logon ko nahi maar raha hai, wo nahi hai. Kaise banegi ye film? But today we have that kind of aware audiences who also accept. If in probably in the 2000s, I had started working again, I probably wouldn't have got the kind of lead roles again that I'm getting today. Today I'm leading again. So Patna Shuklla basically was something that was so close to my heart. And actually, like how you say, my husband says Rajni and stuff, because it's not only the fight of a woman in a patriarchal system which has been completely taken over. It's her, that one single woman in this whole sea of attorneys and lawyers who are out there trying to, get a job by hook or by crook. And she remains completely honest. So for me, Patna Shuklla is a very, very strong character, is more symbolizing the struggle of a common man as well against the big system. So, and then her being a woman on top of that.
Who's expected to be mostly at home.
Who's expected to be only cutting bhindi, aloo, turi and home and making a bhaji and looking after her husband and her children. That is also a facet of hers. That is also a part of her. She does that. She wakes up every morning, which I tell, people at large. I say, I think the Indian woman is, no wonder they used to call them Devis earlier, because the kind of multitasking and the kind of strength that our Indian women have, you will not see it anywhere.
And that's why so many of them stop working, as I was saying, right? Because they can't juggle both. But in this movie, she can.
She can. And Barkha, the thing is, if you see our women even working in our BMC offices in Mumbai, which is our municipality, they wake up early in the morning.
Yeah.
They cook for the full family. They will iron the shirts. They will iron their children's uniforms. They'll make their dabba. They'll make their tiffin. They'll give chai breakfast to their in-laws. They'll keep the lunch aside for them. Then they will leave the house. After their children and husband have left, then they'll go in that local train, dhakke kha ke struggle kar ke andar ghuste hain. Full day office mein kaam karenge. They'll hear tanas from their bosses and whatever also कि अरे बच्चा बीमार है अभी फिर तुम्हारा फिर तुम नहीं आओगी ऐसा कैसा, because they have to balance that as well. And then they have to come back home, and again then they cook for the night. They will do their work, they'll do their office work, they will give their husband tea, they will iron the clothes, they will wash the clothes, they will lay the dinner, they will serve the dinner, they will help the children do the homework, and then they sleep, and then their day starts all over again. What is this? This is some kind of insane strength.
Crazy. Yeah.
This is the Shakti that women are all about. And that is something that I'm very proud to portray in Patna Shuklla.
If you had to look at your entire body of work, and I'm not asking you to do an either or, but as you said, this is not the kind of role that would have been scripted for you, or, you wouldn't have got this film centered around you in this kind of way as Patna Shuklla gives you the opportunity to do. But for an entire sort of generation, you were Raveena Tandon, tip tip barsa pani, right?
Yeah, that's true.
For you, Raveena, do you embrace that persona? If you had a choice, would you embrace that persona of the sensual Raveena Tandon firing the imagination of an entire generation of Indians? Or this crusading Tanvi Shukla character? Which one is it for you, or does it not have to be an either or?
It's all a part of me, to be very honest. Yeah. If I'm a successful actor, and if you would call me a successful actor today, is this kind of shows the versatility that I can pull off and I can carry off, which I did try balancing right from early 2000. So whether there was a Daman, there was a Satta, there was a Ghulam-e-Mustafa, there was Aks, there was Matra, there was a Jago, there was all these kind of films which were centered around and which did this. And yes, it actually did start from that time. The changeover, the turnover did start from then. But successfully so now that it is even more better accepted. So it's not that these kind of movies were not made at all. They were made, but it would be made under a lot of hesitation and a lot of...
On the margins of everything.
Exactly. Will this work? Will it not work? Do we have to put this? Should we do this? Will the distributors buy this film or no? Because there were these, films that one wanted to do with had the social awareness kind of themes or social message that you wanted to really, that's something you believed in very strongly, which was close to your heart, which you wanted to, get out there. And that would excite you to make a movie on that, whether it was Daman, which spoke about marital rape and violence, which 24 years later, sadly, that's still being debated in court. Can you imagine? It's so relevant even then. And we were one of the first to come out with it in the days when it was Mera Pati, Mera Devta Hai, Mat Maru Mere Suhag Ko. Those were the kind of movies that were being made at that time. Not that I deny that. Please love your husband, women. Love your families and love your husbands. There's no two ways about it. But nonetheless, we were the first to promote the fact that no, there is a thing called domestic violence and there is a thing called marital rape. So that it has to be discussed. It is something to be discussed about. And we believed in it and we made it. Even though box office experimentation, box office, collections, the doubts.
But then did it hurt that they being the media, the audience, they didn't talk as much about Daman as they spoke about Tip Tip Barsa Pani?
See, that is the thing. Even now, songs are immortal, right? Songs will always remain evergreen and hit songs. Unfortunately, the coming generations, they forget the films that you've done. And what is more relevant that goes down generations is the music, is the songs and the remixes. Today, people ask me, what do you think of remixes? I say, I think they're great because they give the song a shot in the arm. It's the new beat. It's, getting in tune with the Gen Z. They are loving it and it gives you a new life.
But when you look back at this idea of sensuality on screen, right? And again, one has to remember how young actors like yourself were and how young actors are even today. This is an eternal question. Where is that space between your embracing your sexuality, your sensuality, and the camera objectifying women? Like, was that a question at that time, or were you just like kind of shooting blind, literally?
I honestly did not do work that objectified.
You refused kissing scenes, I think, right?
I never did any kissing scenes. I did not do scenes. I did not do movies if the costumes I was not comfortable in.
Right.
I left big movies with big stars if the costumes I was not comfortable.
And when what kind of costume?
I cannot name them,
unfortunately. But what kind of costume?
But there was a film that I had with a very, very big star, which I regret because I really wanting to work with him because he was one of my favorite. But unfortunately, it had those pom-poms right here and, the very Playboy bunny kind of, which for me was objectifying women. But when someone asks me this, which I'm asked, and I know you'll probably come to that, "Tu cheez badi hai mast." Now, "Tu cheez badi hai mast," actually, if all those who were brought up, like my mother was brought up in Lucknow, and for them to use the word "Ama yaar, tum badi mast cheez ho yaar," was a compliment. So when did that become an objectification? I did not understand because I'm singing it for the man is singing it for me.
Because our entire understanding of acceptable language has changed, right? That song may not be made today.
Correct.
Or not with those words.
That is the thing. I mean, very innocent words actually have started being changed because I think it's.
Do you think that's too politically correct?
I think it is going a little
too far,
a bit too far. I mean, because I know of instances where film titles have been changed where, you cannot call a barber anymore. You cannot call a butcher anymore. You cannot call... These were professional names. They were not demeaning names.
Yeah. But is there any song,
So
any
dogs all
role?
over the world should have protested long time ago, because that is the biggest gali and the most loyal thing on this planet. You cannot be.
Is there a role or a song you regret? Because you were too young to know the difference?
No. I think I very proudly stand by everything that I've done, because things that made me uncomfortable, I definitely did not do. I said no to. But there were times where I've even probably had a tiff with the director at a certain point, because I remember there was a film I did where the child was supposed to be in coma.
Yeah.
The word coma means you're unconscious.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the mother walks in and the child is supposed to look at me and say, Mama, 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 Mama. So my question was, you said, and you are saying, the nurse comes to me just before in the scene and says, आपका बच्चा कोमा में है, तो बच्चा मम्मी मम्मी कैसे कर रहा है?
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
And the director said, you don't teach me how to direct and this and that. I said, sir, but it's a scientific fact. You can't go wrong with that. People will laugh at us. Because it's my face on the line as well, right? Sometimes they forget that ultimately गालियाँ actors को पड़ती है. But there's only a limit to where you can suggest as an actor. And the director walked off the set, and when I said, okay, fine, then I won't do the film, because I don't believe. So there are things that do happen like this. But most of the time, I have stayed away from doing things that principally I did not agree with.
But how ageist is showbiz? How much has changed actually? Like you said, this movie.
It's not showbiz again. Let me point it out.
But
it's more the media and the Instagram trolls who are more ageist.
Are they cruel? Trolls are cruel.
Yeah. So, I mean, you ignore. So, what we had was, like gossipy magazines in those days. Trolls are that today on social media.
Correct.
But nonetheless, like I said, you still have a voice today. So, that's the plus point. But yes, the bane is the trolls and the mental health that some of the youngsters go through with all the shaming that goes on. That is something that we need to make our children strong.
But I have questions on ageism, but I'll come to those later, because thinking of these gossip magazines, you look back at this time when your relationship with Akshay Kumar became the subject of public fodder, gossip columns. You were engaged to him, the engagement breaks, and everybody has a theory till this date, right? Does it make you laugh today?
Yeah, I mean, what's
the whole
deal?
fuss?
So many relationships break up. You remain friends. People move on. I'm sure you are friends with some of your exes.
Absolutely.
So now, what's the big deal?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
in fact, some of them are my very
closest
friends.
Yes, because you kind of form a bond,
and you know them from ages ago, and all of that.
Exactly. So you become friends, right? You realize, okay, we are not good as partners, but we were always great as friends. So what's the big deal? Is what I don't understand. It's not
a big deal, but it was treated as a big deal, and I want to understand what that made you feel.
No, I was absolutely fine. It was a bigger fuss made in the media more because, like I said, in those days, they wanted to sell their magazines.
Correct.
So, but personally, amongst us, between my friends and what my family thought mattered to me.
And what do they think?
Beyond a certain point, what people really think of you sitting in some vague, country around the globe, what that person thought of me did not matter to me.
But somewhere, this culture of the snarky gossip magazine that had written that you had attempted suicide when you hadn't, that had theories on your breakup with Akshay Kumar, somewhere it impacted one of the most important decisions you took in your life, which was to adopt 2 children.
Yes, that's right.
Nobody knew for years because you were trying to protect the children from this scrutiny and from this horrible gossip.
That's absolutely right.
So somewhere, the cruelty of the public gaze did get under your skin. And this very important part of your life came out much later. Tell us about it.
You're absolutely right. Because, see, there was no control on the kind of stories that would go around with the magazines.
Yeah.
So the day I got my 2 girls home.
And how did that happen?
Well, they were not getting the kind of life that they deserved, I felt. And so it was something that I had always been doing a lot of social work for different NGOs, for a lot of other orphanages. And my mom is someone who instilled this in me right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And whether it was for animal welfare, and mostly it was for the girl child, is that I've worked for all my life. And so this was an instance that was happening closer to home. And I decided that if I'm spending so much time, this is something I'm seeing happen right in front of my eyes. Why can't I take charge? The day I turned 21, I brought them in.
You were just 21?
I was 21. And this was 94.
And were you ready to be a mom at 21?
my mom was ready to be another mom. So it was, I was busy shooting in those days. Actually, my parents have been grandparents to them more than anything else.
Yeah.
And, for me, yes, it was an important thing for me to do because I couldn't watch it happen and unfold in front of me and not do anything about it.
Yeah.
That is how I've always been, stick my nose into places where I should not be doing, which is my husband teases me, you're like that Rajini, you know that character.
And now Patna Shuklla.
Yeah, now Patna Shuklla, yeah, and I get the roles also like that.
Yeah.
So nonetheless, I got them home, and that was one of the best things that I think I did in my life, and it was so much fun. They were like, my older one is only 11 years younger than me, so we are more like friends now because we talk about our husbands, our children, and everything. And you know, it's like, and now I see them bringing up Rasha and Ranbir, and now Rasha, who's turned 19, is bringing up their children, Jaden and Rudra.
So truly a blended, modern blended family in
absolutely,
a way, right?
Absolutely. So it's like pan generations, as you see on Insta. We're all mostly all the time together. Though one is settled in South Africa, the other one is also settled elsewhere. So it's like but it's a different sense of bonding.
But at that time, as a 21-year-old, as a single mom, effectively, did you think about what people might say, or you didn't care?
Well, there were some of those snarky comments that I got. Oh, now you come with baggage. You know, who'll marry you, kind of a thing. And then obviously for me, it showed character of a person who would accept me, accept my family, accept my girls, accept my dogs and my cat in that order. And that will show the character of the person. So definitely I won't think twice of marrying him if he accepts all that. So that is what was very clear with me in my mind. And leaving that, besides that, you asked me about why I kept them away from the social media glare, or I'm sorry, not social media, the media glare, is because of the fact, A, that they were too young. They had had a very rough life. I didn't want people gossiping about them. I did not want them to go through peer group pressure. Who are your parents? Oh, you're living with Raveena Tandon or what? All that I did not want them to go through. That was one reason, of course, for them to be sheltered from that. And not traumatize them even more from what pain they've already gone through in their life. And secondly, of the fact also that gossip magazines would say, oh, are these her hidden children which she probably had at the age of 13? You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Or she had at the age of 11. So
and
that would be another story altogether. So it was...
And you know, when you paint this picture of these gossip magazines, I mean, you know, these were magazines people like us just picked up. You baal katwane gaye, tel lagwane gaye, neighborhood parlor mein, the starters would be lying there.
And formed impressions of us because of that.
Correct.
Like I said, they almost dehumanized us.
And you're saying that many of them are well-established feminist voices today. I think you've made that
some of them
point of irony.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay. But it's a pretty unconventional thing that you did. Would you call yourself an unconventional person?
You know, I think I am. And I would not want to make this into a men-bashing, kind of an exercise. But I do say this to a lot of people, that behind every successful and progressive daughter, besides having a strong mother, is also a very progressive father.
That's so true.
You know?
I mean, I speak as the daughter of one, and I'm sure you speak as the daughter of one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yes, unfortunately, we both lost our dads.
Yes.
At this time. And bad idea to bring that up.
I know. Always something that makes one cry.
Yeah, and maybe I'm tired also, actually. I'm just tired.
I'm sorry.
No, bad idea for me to talk about. Why do I talk about it?
Because, you know, it's okay to cry, by the way, I think.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. No, don't be sorry. I had sort of tears welling up at the same time. So
yeah.
You want a glass of water or something?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's I think somewhere I feel that, you know, if I didn't have the strength that my parents gave me, it would have been probably difficult for me to stand by my principles.
What did he give you? What did your dad give you? What tools did he arm you, or what weapons did he arm you with?
I don't know,
to take on this world?
Just his sayings. I mean, I should write a book on his sayings. All how he formed me or molded me as a person. Just just simple things of, when a child learns to walk, he will fall a million times, but he gets up. He just doesn't sit there all scattered.
Yeah.
He gets up and he walks again till he walks with his head held high and learns to walk like a man.
Yeah.
That's something that has stuck by me. So the amount of times I might have fallen, but I always pick myself up. I always collect the pieces, pick myself up, and I push forth. Be kind to the people who hold the ladder for you when you're climbing up the steps of success, because those same people will be there the day you have a downfall to be holding up the ladder for you, and they'll remember how you were with them.
Yeah.
So a lot of things, that your self-respect is in your fist. The minute you open it, you've becrowded yourself.
Yeah.
But if you hold it tight and hold it close to your chest, you'll hold yourself high all the time. So so many of them, that's how he shaped me. It was never a thing that what my brother could do and I could not do.
Yeah.
So there was not the thing. The day he said, "You want to learn how to drive?" I said, yes. He taught me how to drive. But the first thing what he taught me, because in those days we had Fiats.
Yeah.
The most latest car that came was the 1000 Maruti 1000, remember?
Yes, of course.
And my dad had a Beetle because we used to love the Love Bug movie. So the Beetle was our favorite car.
Yeah.
But the first thing that he started with is learn to wash your own cars.
Yeah.
Every Sunday we were paid $10 each, my brother and I, to wash the cars. Open up the hood. See what is there. What's the radiator? What's the coolant? Where is the engine? What is the battery? What happens? Where's the jack? How do you change the tire?
Yeah.
So people would not believe me when I'd say my Pajero, I had a big car. When me and my friends used to go out for a drive, I used to be the one changing the tire in case we got a flat in the rainy season.
Yeah.
So they would be like, really? I said, yeah, why do we need to call for help? There, bring out the jack. Let's do it. Remove the stepney, open up the nuts and fix it. I mean, it's not a big deal. So he said, if you want to learn how to drive, you don't drive senselessly. You learn this first, because I don't want you stranded anywhere and I don't want you dependent on anyone.
Yeah.
So that is just a symbol. I mean, it's what I'm telling you is how he formed my life. And that's how I've learned. That's been the
And
basis
is that
of
something
my
you
life.
carry forward as a parent? You're a parent to a daughter and a son.
Yes.
Are you very mindful about giving them the same freedoms?
I have tried. The freedom, yes, of course. Today is a different
But to
world.
shape them the same way.
Yes,
and
to
not
shape them and mold them the same way to be as people.
Yes.
I wish I can do half a job as what my parents did. But there are those very strong foundation years that I've tried to instill in them. Because once a child's base is strong, then he can face any kind of onslaught that comes, onto their lives.
Yeah. I want to end by joining the dots between the Rajni character that your husband sees in you, the Patna Shuklla character that you're going to be playing on our screens, and politics. And I ask this because, unlike a lot of your colleagues who आजकल मतलब वो कहते हैं भाई हम तो कुछ बोलेंगे नहीं, a lot of people don't want to express their opinion. You are you. You're you on social media. You have opinions on things. You express them. It could be gender. It could be saving animals, it could be politics, it could be Hinduism, all of it. Your Twitter feed or X, as it's now called, illustrates that. Is there a day you see yourself in electoral politics? Would you like that?
I've been getting offered since the past 15 years now.
Yeah.
Longer.
Yeah.
But so far I've steered clear of it. In the sense that, not that I think that a lot of us should be joining in if we want to see the change that we want, to make the change that we want to see. So I feel I'm better off that I am a free voice right now, as whatever my status is in this, in my job or in my profession or in my career. And I'm a free voice. And that's how I want to remain.
Well, keep doing you. And I think that's the best way to be. And it's lovely to see you.
But yes, nonetheless, I would encourage a lot more of our educated bunch, and I would encourage a lot more of our aware bunch. So it's not necessary that only education gets you the brains, but you have the sensibilities and the love for your country that should bring you into politics. And please don't, and tell your audiences, don't forget to watch Patna Shuklla. That's releasing on Disney Hotstar on the 29th of March. I will be there, Barkha will be there, so make sure that you're there for us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.